This video will walk you through how to send a digital version of USF's photo and video release form to somebody you're interviewing or somebody whose face is identifiable inside of your video that might be published on our social media platforms or broadcast. So this is the USF standard release form, and you can see this is the most updated version from General Counsel. And you can just Google USF video release form if you ever have a hard time finding it. But this is what it looks like, and then you would just go ahead and download it from there. So I'm going to just put it right into my downloads, but you might want to have a folder where you save all of your release forms just in case you ever need to refer back to them. And I'm just going to go ahead and open it, but you might notice it'll open like inside of a browser. And so if it does that, just go to your Finder and you can right click open with Adobe Acrobat. You should all have access to Adobe Acrobat through your USF Adobe Creative Cloud accounts. If you haven't downloaded it, make sure to go to your Creative Cloud and download this. So this is the form in PDF, and basically what you want to do for every interview you conduct, you want to fill this out and then send it to the person so that they can sign it. Before, you may have just filled this out by hand and then they signed it right there in person, but this will create a better workflow because it will be contactless, especially for those of you who are interviewing people virtually. So when you open this up, there are several ways that you can customize your PDF, but I think the easiest thing to do is just to go over here on the right side, and then you could technically edit it or do different things here, and it's basically the same thing, but I find it's easier to hit fill and sign. So I'm going to click me and then identify if it's an adult or a minor. So if it's a minor, you're going to need their parent or legal guardian to sign this form. But if it's an adult, you'll just check adult, and then you'll hover your mouse over this section here and click, and then you'll type in the information about, they call it an event, but really it's, what is the purpose of your video? It's the interview is kind of the event, right? So you can write some keywords that are relevant to your story so that later, if we ever have to search for this, if we ever have any legal issues, we can always find it and identify this more easily. So make sure that your keywords are specific. So for example, you could be interviewing somebody about at the Super Bowl experience at Curtis Hickson Park in Tampa or something like that. And then let's say the date of your interview is going to be maybe it's January 30th, and this is 2021, so you're just going to put 21 right there. So then this part is filled out. You have to fill out all of these forms for this to be legally binding. You're going to scroll down to the next part here, and this is going to be the name of the person you're interviewing. So let's say I'm interviewing David Ross. I don't know. David Ross, sure. And then the date here is going to be January 30th, 2021. If David is an adult, I can just leave the name of the parent or guardian blank, and I could leave the age blank. If David is a minor, it's very, very important that you put the name of the legal guardian and the age of the minor. And it works the same way. You just click here, and then the field will open up for you. But since in this instance, David is an adult, we can leave these fields blank. David will sign this field, so you are going to leave this blank. But you're going to want to include David's telephone number and David's email. So whatever David's number is, you want to find that out ahead of time. Whatever it is, just put that in there. So there we go. That could be David's phone number. And then whatever David's email is, you would write all of this in for David. Let's just pretend it's davidross@gmail.com. The next part will be your name. So if I'm reporting on the story, I would put my name in here, Jeanette Abrahamson, and then I would put my phone number inside of this field, 813. I'll put my phone number here, and I'll put my email here. So this has to all be filled out except for the name of the legal guardian and the age if they're an adult, and then you leave this signature blank. The next thing that you want to reiterate down here is more information that maybe you didn't have room for up here. So let's fill this out, and you can move these fields around just like this. Like this video is for a TV news story that will air on Florida Focus, or maybe we say that may air because you never know, maybe the interview doesn't go well or technical issues or something. So it may air on Florida Focus and be published on our social media platforms. And then you notice if you don't put enter here, it'll just keep going. You can also highlight this text and make it smaller, but you want to make sure that it's still legible because you want David to be able to read what this is. So the next time you want to make a paragraph, a new line, you just hit return or enter. So this video is for a TV news story that may air on Florida Focus and be published on our social media platforms about the events leading up to the Super Bowl in downtown Tampa. And I think that should be enough. But you want to put enough information here so that it's identifiable. And then you're done with this step. So you're just going to go ahead and hit File, Save, and then you would change the name, or File Save As, change the name with the person that you're interviewing. And I'm just going to use it in my downloads for now, but you want to put it somewhere relevant. You would name it like David Ross interviewed by Jeanette Abrahamson or something like that, and then just hit save. So you could email this to David and say, hey David, if you have Adobe, just go ahead and sign this. And so if I'm David, I would open this up and I would just hit sign, and I would just sign it right there and then email it back to you. But if I don't have Adobe, like if I'm David and I don't have Adobe, or if the person you're interviewing has a hard time accessing this, you may want to send it to them in a different way, or I tell them like, well, if you have a printer, you can print this out and you can just sign it by hand and then scan it, or take a photo with your phone and then just email it or text it back to me. That is also an acceptable way to do this. The last thing I want to show you is how you would do it with DocuSign. So you all have a DocuSign account. Just Google USF DocuSign, and the actual URL is account.docusign.com, and you're going to log in with your USF Net ID and password. So here's what it'll look like when you've logged in, and then you're just going to go ahead and drop that document or upload it here. And then it'll load in just a second, and then you're going to email it. I'm not going to do a template for this one because they're each unique, but I'm going to click view to make sure that all the information is correct, and then you just verify, yep, that's the information that I want. And then I'm going to send this to David Ross, and then it's going to be whatever the David Ross at gmail.com. And David needs to sign. That's all I want David to do. I don't need David to edit or anything else. I just need David to sign it. So normally this is the custom one, but if it's not, you just click needs to sign, and that's it. And then I'm going to do a custom language and for my email. So basically what David gets is something more customized. So it's interview, the release form, video release form for Florida Focus show or something like that. And then you can be like, hey David, thanks so much for agreeing to do this interview, and write a little note. If you could please sign this before our interview, that would be great. This is just confirming that you understand that this is going to be used by USF for our social media and perhaps broadcast platforms. If you have any questions, let me know. And then all you would do is hit next. I don't know who David Ross is, if that's an actual email address, so I won't go ahead and email it, but I'll show you this next step. All you need to do is click over here on the top left. It should say signature, and then you just drop that little thing right there, just like that. And that is a required field. You need him to sign. If David was a minor, you would also want to include another more information here, right? The age and all that stuff. But since David is not, the only thing that I have to put in here is this, and it's okay that these fields are missing. The last thing you would do is just hit send, and that's it. And then they would send it, and hopefully one of those ways is convenient for them to get you the video release form. I really appreciate you all paying extra attention to this. We just want to be extra careful. It's important for us to get all of this in a transparent way so that everybody who you interview understands, what is going to be happening to the videos that you record of them. Thank you so much, and let me know if you have any questions.